What's up guys, I'm Newbie Dave and today we're building an ice farm. Let's get started. So picture this, you go exploring, you find some really cool things out there. Let's say you find a desert full of sand where you can get lots and lots of glass, but it's like 1,500 blocks that way. Or maybe you find a good jungle biome, but it's like 2,000 blocks that way. Or maybe you finally spot a mesa biome, but it's like 8,000 blocks that way. And you're trying to figure out, how am I going to get to all these different really nice places in the overworld when it takes forever to travel? And then you remember, oh yeah, distances in the Nether are 1/8 of that of the overworld. So you decide to pop into the Nether. Maybe you dig your way up to the very roof or the very bottom of the Nether, and you build yourself a little Nether hub. And you dig out a bunch of tunnels and you build some Nether portals. And these portals connect you to all the different places around the overworld so you can get back and forth really quickly. But now you need a way to get between those Nether portals really quickly. And of course, you're going to build ice roads. And of course, if you're going to build some really long ice roads, then you're going to need lots and lots of ice. And since we haven't found a good ice spikes biome or anything, we need a way to generate and farm as much ice as we're going to need to build all these ice roads. Now I want to pause for just a minute and discuss the debate between soul sand roads versus ice roads. I've gotten a lot of comments from a lot of people arguing that soul sand roads are better, that they're faster than ice roads, and so I wanted to hop into a creative world and just put this to a test and see which ones are actually better. So I've got three setups here. I've got a soul sand road that we're going to use soul speed 3 boots on the soul sand to move much faster. And then we've got an ice road with a boat, and we've also got a blue ice road with a boat because packed ice and blue ice are supposed to be faster than just regular ice. We're going to test all three of those. Now what I've got here, I've got some command blocks that once I pass through these little red gates, it's going to start counting up every game tick, and then when I reach the end, it's going to stop. And since there's 20 game ticks per second, then we can use that as a way to measure empirically how fast each of these are. So let me hop into survival mode. We'll take these soul speed 3 boots and put them on, and now we should fly over the soul sand. And I just remembered before I start this, I am going to go ahead and give myself speed 2 just because it's going to make running on the soul sand even faster. And so we can take the time it takes to get through this on speed 2 and know that's going to be faster than doing it without speed, because you're not always going to have a speed 2 potion on you. So here we go. Now, as you can see, we're absolutely cruising along much faster than just running. So soul speed 3 on soul sand is absolutely a great way to get around. And crossing the finish line at 479 ticks at 20 ticks per second. That's going to put us somewhere around 24 seconds. So we'll hit this little button, go back to the beginning. For some reason I can't take my soul speed boots off. I don't know what's going on there, but they're not going to affect these other two runs, so it doesn't matter. Next up is going to be the boat on ice, so let me reset my tick count. We'll hop in this boat and let's see how quickly we can get down to the other side now. So as you can see, we are flying along on the ice much faster than we were on the soul sand, and we reached the finish line at 171 game ticks at 20 ticks per second. That's going to be about 8.5 seconds, so much faster than the 24 seconds that the soul sand took. Going back to the beginning, let's now try the blue ice, because blue ice is unquestionably faster than the regular ice, but it kind of matters how much faster it is, because blue ice is significantly harder to get than regular ice. So here we go with the blue ice. So it does look like it's about the same speed as the ice, even though it's a little bit faster, and we crossed the finish line at 121 game ticks, which is going to be 6 seconds. So there we have it. Unsurprisingly, the blue ice is a little bit faster than the ice, but both versions of the ice roads are significantly faster than the soul sand with soul speed 3 on your boots. Like, it's not even a question. It's 4 times faster to take the ice road versus the soul sand road. The one thing about soul sand that I will say is better than ice is if you make winding paths or paths that go up and down, soul sand's going to be a lot easier to navigate, because once you get going on a boat, you really just want to just make a straight shot to your destination. You don't want to be making a lot of turns or having a lot of intersections, but the ice is definitely going to be faster than soul sand. Now, as for whether you want to make your roads out of blue ice or just regular ice, consider that blue ice takes 81 ice to make, because it takes 9 ice to make 1 packed ice, and then 9 packed ice to make 1 blue ice. So the fact that it's only a little bit faster but takes 81 times as many resources, I feel like the ice road is fast enough. And so, of course, that's where the ice farm comes in. The ice farm is going to let us craft up all of the ice that we're going to need to build lots and lots of ice roads through the Nether, so that we can connect all these different locations in the overworld and get around very, very quickly. Now, if you want to farm ice, you have a couple of options. Of course, you could just find a good snowy biome or an ice spikes biome. But if you don't have one of those, then you can still actually farm ice in some other biomes. You may notice way over there in the distance are some snow-capped mountains. Anywhere that you see snow on the ground, it is cold enough for water to freeze. And so that would actually be a great spot to build an ice farm. It's a little bit too far for me, but if it was the closest option that I had, then it would be close enough and I would definitely do that. But we actually have a few closer options, because there are other places where it will get cold enough for water to freeze into ice. If you happen to find a giant spruce taiga, then the water above Y150 will actually freeze. If you find a regular taiga biome, then water above Y120 will freeze. And even if you just find a regular mountains biome, water above Y90 will freeze in the mountains, and that's why you get the snow-capped mountains like you see over there in the distance. That's above Y90, all the snow over there. And a good way to figure this out is just wait for it to rain. When it rains, anywhere that it's cold enough for water to freeze, instead of rain, you'll actually get snow. And so if you wait long enough for it to rain, then you can go around to a couple different biomes, maybe build yourself a little nerd pole or a stack of bamboo, what's that stuff called? Scaffolding, yes, scaffolding, of course, I knew that. And once you get up high enough, then it should turn to snow, and if it does, then you are in the right area to build an ice farm. Now, it just so happens that actually this side of the river right here, but all of this area across the river as well, is considered a mountains biome. There's a couple of ways that I've kind of figured this out, deduced it. One is that I've been able to find a lot of goats over here, and goats spawn in mountain biomes. Another way is this is right under all of my strip mining, and I've run across lots and lots of emeralds under the ground here, which generate in mountain biomes. And so I know that this is a mountain biome. See, there's a goat, mountain biome. And so this is actually really, really close to my base. This is a really good spot for this. And so this is where I want to build my ice farm. Now, if we check my Y coordinate over there, I'm almost high enough. I'm at Y82 on top of this little hill. We need to be at Y90 for the water to freeze into ice. So we actually need to build this thing a little bit up off the ground. Now, you're going to need a couple of things for this ice farm. First thing you're going to need is lots and lots of some sort of material that's not going to break with a pickaxe. You do not want to use stone or cobblestone or deep slate or something like that, because the pickaxe is how we're going to harvest the ice, and as soon as you break through the ice, if you've got an efficiency 4 or 5 pickaxe like Mr. Picky here, it's just going to go right through the structure of the farm. So I'm going to build mine out of wood, because wood's very easy to get and you're not going to break it very quickly with a pickaxe. That's really all you technically need. You can just build this entire thing out of wood and be done with it. I'm also going to use a little bit of light blue wool, and I'm going to turn a lot of this into carpet, and I'm going to use this to line some of the top of this farm, really just to kind of make it look a little bit nicer. And then of course you're going to need some water, because we're trying to make ice, and ice, in case you didn't know this, is frozen water. So we're going to need some water to fill this farm with. And the whole idea of an ice farm is basically just a giant filled in water source that freezes, and then you break it and it fills in again and freezes again. And so you're going to need lots and lots of water. So we're going to use 2 water buckets, make an infinite water source, and then we can fill the whole thing in. But first we need to get up to the Y level where water is actually going to freeze. So I think I'm going to start right here, and I'm just going to go up to, we really just need to go up to Y90, so right here is perfect. And then I'm going to use some ladders to quickly get up and down this thing so that I don't have to fall and nerd pull my way back up again. I could use scaffolding. I got some bamboo when I was out exploring last time, so scaffolding would be good, but this is a little bit more permanent. I think eventually, I'm not going to just leave a dirt bridge over the river there. Eventually I'll come back and build like the nice staircase and a bridge and everything to get over here nicely. But for now, this is going to be our sort of quasi-temporary way to get up and down to this farm. Now to get started, I'm going to build myself a little work area up here. That way I don't have to keep going down for more supplies or to reach my bed. Which, by the way, another nice thing about this particular location is it's like 90 blocks away from the iron farm, plus the elevation is just far enough away that the villagers in the iron farm shouldn't be able to bind any beds over here. So we can put a little bed, we can have a little AFK spot up here while we wait for all the water to freeze. So it's a good distance between everything. So for my AFK spot, I'm going to go off to the right because most of my farm is going to be that direction and that direction. So that's going to be, I think, east and south. Like this is going to be where I build my farm. So my little work area slash AFK spot is going to be over here on the right side. And I am going to build this entire thing as much as I can out of slabs just to get the most bang for my buck, extend my resources as far as possible. So the first thing I'm going to start with up here is putting an infinite water source. This is going to allow me to just reuse this water to fill in this whole farm and not have to go back down to like the river or a water source down there. I need a bottom to this thing, and so the easiest way to do this, in my opinion, especially if you're like really high up, and I could just get below this and nerd pull up a little bit, but just to put down a bucket of water, ride this thing down a little bit, and now we can place some blocks under this and then swim our way back up and get out. And now we've got some blocks under there that we can build on. So there's our infinite water source. Now we need to take some measures to keep this from freezing, because if we just leave this water here, it's going to turn to ice, and an infinite water source that turns to ice isn't really much good. So what I'm going to do is just come up a few blocks here, and I'm just going to put some glass above this. The glass will actually keep this water from freezing because it is not directly exposed to the sky. So again, the glass will keep the water from freezing because it's basically blocking the sky. And so in order for water to freeze, it has to meet a couple of conditions. It has to be a water source. It can't be flowing water. It has to have direct sunlight above it. It cannot have a light source that is 13 or higher on any adjacent side to it. That's not including the sunlight. And it has to have a solid block that is next to it, like the cobblestone right there. And so without the glass there, this would absolutely freeze into water, but the glass will keep it as liquid. And we're actually going to use those same mechanics to operate this farm. Okay, so get this. I had actually gotten quite a ways into my ice farm with the recording, and I noticed that even though the water was turning to ice, it just wasn't really happening very fast. And I've built this farm before, and it was much, much quicker than what I was experiencing. And so I popped into a creative world, played around with it a little bit, and what I discovered is even though the water will freeze above Y90 in a mountains biome, it freezes a lot faster if you go up a little bit higher. And so building the ice farm right at the freezing point, not really ideal. This is a little bit easier to illustrate if it would rain, because then the rain would actually turn into snow. And where I was building the farm, you get kind of this mixture of rain and snow, and you can actually still hear the rain. But once I came up about another 10 or 15 blocks, then it was just pure snow and there was no rain sound effects, and that seems to be where the water freezes a lot faster. So try going a good 10 or 15 blocks above the actual freezing point when you're building this farm, and you'll get much better rates. So all I've done since then was I just moved my whole little working area up about 15 blocks to Y106. So for this farm, I like to build several small, or I guess several narrow lanes of water that are each separated by some sort of divider. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my lanes running in this direction to the east, And then I can just build as many of these lanes, just repeat the whole design over and over as far as I want. And that's something I really like about this design. It's very easy to expand and make it as big as you want. You could even just build it like 1 or 2 lanes for now and then come back later and add more to it. It's very, very easy to expand. So to get started, I could just build up from here, but I kind of want it to be sunken down a block or two. So what I'm going to do is place a slab on the top of that block below where I pop up onto. And then I'm going to come over to the side here and I'm just going to start building out. Now, again, you can make this as big as you want. You do have to like stop at some point. And so I'm going to go 20 blocks in this direction. And that's going to be starting from right here, because this is actually going to be the outer wall of each of these lanes right there where the stairs are. And this is going to be the side wall. And so the actual trough, the lane where the water is going to be these blocks right here. So I want it to be 2 blocks wide. That's going to be the same for every single lane that I do. But then go out as far as you want. And like I said, I'm going to go 20. Now you do want to be very, very careful during this step, because I've got Feather Falling 4 on my boots and I've got some pretty good armor and I'm not too high up off the ground, and so if I were to fall from here I wouldn't die, but it also wouldn't be very fun, and if you don't have Feather Falling or very good gear, then it could be fatal. So just make sure that you're crouched and being careful, taking your time during this build process. Alright, so I've got the platform laid out. The lanes are going to be 2 blocks wide, but you need 4 blocks total to account for the edges and the barriers between each lane as well. So that's what I've done. Now for the side, I'm just going to do stairs all the way across. And then when I get to the corner, you could do a stair here. I'm just going to do a solid plank like that. I think it's going to look a little bit better. And then we're going to do 2 more stairs and another solid plank. This is basically the corner between 2 lanes. Now we don't want to do stairs in between the lanes. We don't want that to be our divider. It would work, you would have to do stairs facing this direction, and then on the other side do stairs facing the other direction. So what I'm going to do instead is just do top slabs like this. The slabs we can waterlog just like we could stairs, except the water that's in the slab will flow in both directions. It'll flow to the right and it will flow to the left. So that's why I like doing slabs here instead of stairs. So there's one lane. All that we need to do to finish off this section is just start filling it in with water. So we're not going to put the water in the lane. Instead, we're going to put it on the stairs. So I'm going to put water right there and there. And then once I put it there, it should start filling in the rest of this section with water sources. And I can just go down the line and start waterlogging all these stairs. And the whole thing is just going to fill in with water as I do this. And you can already see it's starting to turn into ice. So the waterlogged stairs and the slabs will never freeze. Those will just remain water sources for the entire lifetime of this build. But the water in the middle of the lane will freeze, and that's how this farm works, is all this water in the middle, it will freeze, you come in, oh no, I waterlogged one of the slabs and now it's leaking out. So the water on the inside will fill in with water sources, it will freeze, you break it, and it's just going to fill back in because you have these permanent water sources surrounding it. And so you break the ice, it fills back in, it freezes again, you break it, fills in, freezes again, repeat over and over and over again. Now I need to do something about these slabs that I waterlogged, so I'm going to jump down here. I'm just going to swim back up the water, and I think I'll be able to just scoop up the water from below. Yeah, so that's good. So that's one lane of this farm. And the reason why I only made this lane 2 blocks wide is because in order for ice to form, there has to be a solid block next to it. And solid is kind of a loose term here, like the slabs and the stairs, they count as solid blocks for the purpose of water freezing. And so if you were to make this thing wider, if it were 3 or 4 or 8 blocks wide, then the water in the middle actually could not freeze until the water around it froze. So by making this 2 blocks wide, every single water source block in this lane can freeze at any time. It doesn't have to wait for any of the surrounding water to freeze. So let me do the second lane, because each other lane in this farm is going to be, it's the same idea, but it's going to be a little bit different because now we have these slabs to work with instead of the stairs. So let me do the second lane. So I actually went over a little bit too far with the second lane because I went over 4 blocks, but the divider between the 2 lanes is shared by both of them, so you actually only need to go over 3. But that's okay because I'm definitely going to be expanding this iron farm. I keep saying iron. I'm definitely going to be expanding this ice farm further to the south and get in probably like 8 lanes, maybe 8 or 10. So we're just going to fill in the second lane the exact same way we did the other one, except instead of waterlogging stairs, we're going to be waterlogging the slabs. And so the waterlogged slabs, they'll actually flow in both directions. You can see if I were to break this piece of ice, the waterlogged slab next to it is going to fill it in. And if you were to just break one piece at a time, you can see that this is now flowing water. It's not a water source, but you're not going to break one piece at a time. You're going to come in and break all of this, and now it's all going to fill back in with water sources. So that's how this farm works. Now, last thing I wanted to do here is, this is why I brought the light blue carpet. This is purely just aesthetic, but I want to put some carpet down on these dividers. Hello. Just so that it looks a little bit nicer, it sounds a little bit nicer, and it kind of goes with the theme of the farm. We're making ice, the light blue wool kind of looks like ice. If you wanted, you could use white instead, so it kind of looks like snow. But I think that's going to look really nice when this whole thing's filled in with ice with the light blue carpet. It's going to look very, cold and frigid. So that's really all there is to this farm. I'm going to go ahead and put in the additional lanes. We'll get this whole thing built out, and then I'll show you how to finish it off. And would you look at that, it finally started raining. So now I can show kind of how you can measure this thing. So you can see as I go up and reach level 90, it starts snowing, but there's still kind of a mix of snow and rain. If I keep going all the way up to the top here, now I'm just getting snow. And so this is where you want to build your farm, is where you're just getting snow and not the mix of snow and rain. And because it's going to snow up here, you might also want to consider throwing down some cauldrons and collecting some powdered snow. I'm probably going to do that at some point. But right now I'm just working on the ice farm. So this thing, look at this. It is almost completely filled in. I'm going to finish the outside before breaking any of the ice, and then we'll show you how to harvest it. So this is kind of dangerous because we're way up high and there's nothing keeping you from falling off. So I am going to build some fences, and we're going to use these fences to go around the outside, and these will keep you from falling off this farm and possibly falling to your death. I can't stand the rain in Minecraft, but the snow is actually really peaceful and calming. Now this last row over here, I just did slabs because I'm probably going to come back and expand this, add a couple more lanes. I've only got 6 lanes right now, but I'm probably going to end up adding more. I just really didn't want to do it today. When I'm actually done with this and don't think I'm going to expand it anymore, for the last row I'll probably do stairs so that it matches the rest of the outside of this. Now when you get over here to your AFK area, I'm also going to put some fences around this so that I can come over here and not fall out. I'll do that in a little bit. You might also want to consider expanding this a little bit and putting a gate between you and the actual ice farm, because if you go AFK up here, it's possible that some mobs might be able to spawn off in the distance. I don't know if they'll spawn on the snow. That's kind of the secondary purpose of putting wool everywhere, is the wool should block mobs from spawning. I just don't remember if they'll spawn on the ice. But if they do, and you're AFK over here, that could be bad news. And so that's why you might want to put fence gates here between the farm and the AFK spot, just to protect you from any spawns. Now, let's talk about lighting. You don't really want to light this area up because light is going to stop the ice from melting, but I can use some soul lanterns or soul torches because these only give off a light level of 10, which is not enough to melt the ice. So I'm going to do this just to kind of make it look nice from the ground. It's not to prevent spawns, it's not to do anything functional, it's just to kind of look nice. So I'm just going to do it on the corners. Okay, so now let's talk about how to actually go around harvesting this. Like I said, you want to use a Silk Touch pickaxe. Mr. Picky will do the job because he's got Silk Touch, but Mr. Picky is mine. I'm going to bring him with me. I want to go get a Silk Touch pickaxe so I can just leave here at the farm so I never have to worry about it. So let me go over to my villager trading hall, and I'm just going to make a new Silk Touch pickaxe. Now I could just make a diamond pickaxe, but our toolsmith over here sells diamond pickaxes for 10 emeralds, so why waste diamonds when we can waste emeralds? So I'm going to buy one of these. Now it does come enchanted with Silk Touch already. That is actually really good. I was expecting to disenchant this, but that's what we want. So I will save myself a disenchantment and a enchanted book, and we'll just go ahead and add mending. I'm going to get unbreaking 3. And then to make your life so much easier, you definitely want to get efficiency 4 or 5 if you've got it. So let me throw all these onto my pickaxe. Since I knew I was going to be doing a lot of enchanting, I installed the secret anvil back here. And I shall name this the Ice Pick. So practically speaking, I mean, it's identical to Mr. Picky. There's no reason why I need to make a second one that's the exact same. But like I said, I want one that I can just leave at the ice farm and not have to worry about it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put an item frame up there, and we'll just keep the ice pick here at the ice farm, and whenever we want to use it, we'll come pop it out and we'll do our mining. So there's 2 ways to go about harvesting this ice. Like I said, you definitely need a Silk Touch pickaxe. One is we can just strafe along the carpeted dividers like this and break all of it. That will work, and you'll be able to go a little bit quicker than if you were to swim in the water, but the ice is going to fall into the water, and so you probably end up having to go into the water to get it anyways. So that's why I prefer method 2, which is just swimming through the water. So I'm just going to swim through the water, breaking all the ice as I go. I'll pick all of it up, and then I'll hop over to the next lane. And you can see as I'm breaking the ice, the water sources that are locked into the slabs are just refilling this whole thing, and it turns back into water source blocks again. And it's even starting to freeze like right behind me as I go. So there we have it. We harvested 6 lanes that are 20 blocks long and got 3.5 stacks of ice. That is really, really good. 3.5 stacks of ice we can turn into 25 packed ice, which is enough for about 3 blue ice. So you can do with this as you please. If you're happy with just ice roads, then just get ice. If you want packed ice, maybe build this thing a little bit bigger and turn it all into packed ice. If you want blue ice, make this thing a lot bigger and then turn it all into blue ice. But I mean, look how fast this thing's almost ready to go again. So I love, love, love this farm. And if you want lots and lots of ice in your world, then you're definitely going to want a farm like this, and just make it as big as you need it to be. So that's going to wrap things up for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something about how ice works in Minecraft. I want to give a big shout out to my patron Summer. Thank you so much for your support and your patronage. If you'd like to become a patron, hop on over to Patreon, look up Newbie Dave. There's a link on my channel description, and check out the different support tiers that I've got there. So thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button, and while you're down there, feel free to subscribe so you'll get notified of future episodes as they come out. Thanks y'all, and have a great day.